Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for The Promised Neverland Episode 10. When we last left off, everything was going to shit. It was 3 episodes last video, and Crone joined the team for a little while, kind of, then Crone died, and then Norman had a ship date set for the next fucking day, and then Norman found out that the Beyond the Wall was just a cliff, and that's how the last time ended. It was just a lot. Yeah. So anyway, before we go into the review itself, just a reminder, I have my 2019 spring anime review straw poll in the description down below. Let me know what you want to see next season. Anyway, jumping around into this episode. So luckily, things aren't quite as hopeless as they seemed last week, as Norman seems to have seen some kind of bridge that would let this kids escape to headquarters, which is barely escaping at all. So there's some hope, I guess. I admit I didn't quite follow what exactly Norman saw, and that honestly we should have seen what Norman saw rather than just have Norman draw it for us. But I get the point. There is hope. Or there would be. Because Norman has still decided that he has to die in order for the plan to go off without a hitch. And this is where we need to talk about Norman's fatal flaw. Because Norman has one gigantic flaw, and that is, it's on most display in this episode. He doesn't accept that people care about him. You know, he assumes that as soon as he's gone, Emma and Ray will get right back to work plotting their escape. I don't think he can even comprehend that they care about him to the point they would shut down over his death. He just does not understand that he is cared for. Also, he just refuses to his whole plan is to make sure that everyone lives, but he doesn't count himself in that ledger. And that's another flaw of his. Or it was a flaw of his, because he does not make it out alive, which I was very surprised by. I was fully expecting... Honestly, I'm still a little hesitant to say he's dead, because there's just something that happened in that room. If it was just like he sees a demon, then gets eaten, that would be, shown to us there, I think. But the fact that it's not means there's something's up with Norman. I'm hesitant to say he's gone for good. But I'll get to that. I'll get to his actual departure in a little bit. So yeah, anyway, the flaw Norman's thinking is he thinks that no one cares about him, and that could not be further from the truth. And Norman's sacrifice nearly sinks the plan. You know? We're not quite sure what exactly Emma's been up to by the end of the episode. But in Ray's case, Ray, as far as we know, was just kind of dead for 2 months. Because Norman's, I'm gonna do this to save you, just failed so spectacularly. Norman failed. Norman straight up failed. And if his mission was to, to keep Isabella's suspicions in check, he just fucking blew it. And, sure, maybe Isabella did not suspect that they were going to plan anything else, but it's because, at least in Ray's case, they weren't planning anything else. So Norman, I love him to death, but he blew it. He blew it with this choice. But anyway, moving on, Norman goes to pack his things, and we see a little, cup phone in his drawer, and it's the only thing he packs by the end of the episode. And that's just a really, great flashback. On the surface, it's just this cute little flashback of the 3 in simpler times, but it's laced with this reminder that, even back then, Isabella had a fairly sinister idea of parenting. She literally puts keep out tape on the door, supposedly to keep Emma out, but, it still is kind of creepy. And, she's, just the idea of, insisting on isolating Norman is kinda iffy. I mean, it's the least iffy thing she's ever done, honestly, because she is selling these children to be eaten, but it's still pretty iffy. Anyway, on to Norman's goodbye. I love Emma's, last desperate plan to save Norman. You know, it was not particularly thought out. Admittedly, it probably would have worked better than Norman's plan, because Norman's plan, again, nearly sunk the ship. But it's not particularly thought out, but, like, why would it be? You know, Emma's desperate, and she knows that she has no other way to save Norman, so, she has no choice but to just, like, risk it all in one, desperate shot. But Norman, convinced that his plan will work, it doesn't, but he's convinced that it will. You know, insists that he has to give up his life for the cause, which again, nearly sings the cause. I cannot stress that enough. And I'm glad the show is not setting up, I'm not ragging on the episode for Norman's stupidity. You know, the show is not setting Norman up as some kind of martyr, that he did the right thing by sacrificing his life. No, he was dumb. He was incredibly stupid. And, you know, he thought that his self-sacrifice would, like, martyr him, and it didn't at all. Like, it did not even, we still need to see what Emma's been up to the past 2 months. But, like, Norman, his plan did not work. Maybe we'll find out that something he did actually did work. We still don't know what Crone left him. And now, I just remember that right now, and Norman is dead. Or Norman's gone at the very least. We don't know what's in that room. Maybe he got out of there somehow. I don't fucking know. But, like, we don't know what's in the room. What's in the package, I mean. And what's in the room, for that matter. We don't know what Ray gave to Crone. We don't know what Crone gave to Norman. There's a lot we don't know. And now 2 members of those 3 are dead. Well, we think Norman's dead. Again, we don't actually see him die, and if you don't see the body, don't think they're dead. You know, anyway. But yeah, whatever Norman sees inside the room, shocks him, but we don't get to see it. Then we cut to, like, the next day, right away. So, I love the confrontation between Isabella and Emma. And I love this setting up of Isabella as, like, the symbol of nihilism. You know, this is the kind of show that could really easily succumb to, like, an everything sucks and then you die mentality, like Ray gets into after Norman's death, and what Emma pretends to go into. But by putting its villain as, like, the epitome of that mentality. You know, Isabella has fully bought into this, you know, it's gonna suck, or we could, like, you can either live to a fairly long age and have your life suck, or have a fairly short life, but it's, like, nice. But either way, it's gonna be miserable at the end. By setting Isabella as, like, the mouthpiece of that mentality, instead of falling into it, it changes the story into one of, like, hope and perseverance against impossible odds. Which is just a much better, objectively speaking, a much better story. Any nihilists, get out of this video, I don't want you here. But yeah, anyway. So, Emma allows Isabella to think, despite a quick, like, strike back against, Isabella, Emma allows Isabella to think that she's won, and then time passes, to the day before Ray's death, where we find out that Emma's actually been up to something. And I have a feeling Ray may have been counting on her to get him out of this. I'm not quite sure on that, though. Maybe he had just fully given up and knew that Emma wasn't going to let him give up. I don't know. That stuff's a little vague. But also, I want to add, Emma's face, as the episode ends, is not the face of a hero. That is the face of someone who is angry and wants to, like, kill someone. You know, I fully expect Emma to have something cruel, like, torturous, almost, planned for Isabella in revenge for Norman's death. But yeah, that's how the episode ends. This episode is great. You know, Norman's fatal flaw of his own lack of self-worth nearly destroys everything, as I've said, by putting Ray and seemingly Emma in, like, a catatonic state up until Ray's death day. But even, like, that's something that might really annoy me in a lesser series, but it's believable and well-written, and, like, it plays naturally from his personality. It's something that Norman's kind of been all along. He's definitely been the most accepting of his own death, especially in the past few episodes. So it doesn't feel like the author is just, like, trying to wring drama out of the story. It all plays really naturally from the characters. And Isabella's mix of sinisterness and genuine care for the children, especially in her confrontation with Emma, her nihilism is really, like, she thinks that she cares. You know, she sees her nihilism as, like, the only chance they have. That it just continues to make her one of the most compelling villains in recent memory. I can't wait for what comes next. Next week, though, Emma's plan takes shape. Probably. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or fill out that straw poll down below, actually, or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!